But for right now, they're kind of focused on the upcoming Council District 15 election, the special election 1 month from today. Joining us on stage, oh, there he is. Ladies and gentlemen, running for City Council, representing Council District 15, Gordon Teuber.
Thank you, Stephen. It's great to be here today. What a beautiful day for a bike ride in Los Angeles.
Absolutely.
Man, it's gorgeous day. A little warm out. I'm glad to have my family with me, my wife, Kathy, my son, Gordon. Come on up, Gordy. Come on.
Now, I noticed that you've color-coded them so that you don't lose them in this crowd. How on earth do you keep track of them?
Yeah. Here, bring the helmet. Bring the helmet. Come on. My son Gordon, he's 5 years old. He's been riding on 2 wheels with no training wheels since he was 3 years old, right after his 3rd birthday. He also rides a motorcycle. I brought something along today because I want to tell you a little story about when I was 5 years old and I didn't have a helmet, and I went down my parents' driveway and over the curb and landed face first. I knocked out all of my teeth and broke my upper jawbone, and ever since Gordy's been riding a bike, he's been wearing a motorcycle helmet. And it's something I want to bring up about child safety, because I believe that children should wear more than just the average bicycle helmet. My opinion is these bicycle helmets aren't good enough for children, so I encourage all parents and families to get a bigger, better helmet for their kids. Anyhow,
now, you bring up a good point. You know, it's one thing to have a helmet, and it's another thing to know how to wear it, how to ride a bike. All right, yeah, that's how it's done. And this also comes in handy on the city council floor, from what I understand. It gets a little rough in there.
Battleground.
Now, you're no stranger to City Hall, is that right?
Yes, I've been working for Council District 15 for the last 5 years in planning and economic development.
So, land use issues, transportation issues,
yes,
development issues, and of course, folks that are gainfully employed spending their money in the local economy.
Absolutely.
Now, Council District 15 used to be the #1 jobs generator for the city of Los Angeles, but no longer that's the case.
Well, we still have a lot of jobs down in the port. Don't think that we don't have a lot of job generation down there, and I think there's a lot of opportunity for it to come back and grow some more.
Currently, it's tourism, and in fact, you can take the blue line all the way to, not quite the CD15 yet.
Yeah,
huh?
not quite the CD15, and there's also the green lines coming to Torrance, but not down to us, unfortunately.
Which means if we're going to encourage tourism, we're going to have to give people other ways to get around, whether it's on foot, on a bicycle, take the metro, so that we're going to have to be working together to stimulate the local economy by creating great routes for people to get around. So what do you have in mind as far as helping people get around on foot, on bicycles, with the metro, but spend some money in CD15?
Yeah. Well, Stephen, 2 things. One is I recognize today in this tough economy that a lot of people need to use a bicycle as a form of transportation, and that really links into public transit. And if you can't afford a car today, if you can't pay $4 a gallon for gasoline, if you can't afford insurance, a bicycle is a great way to go to get from point A to point B, to get to that bus line and get to a job. But in CD15, I think we have a lot of opportunity to improve our bicycle opportunities. We have some of the most beautiful coastline in all of California, right in CD15 and San Pedro along Paseo del Mar. My vision is I want to see a little bit more linkage between our beautiful coastline and our LA waterfront. We do have a great plan for the LA waterfront, a $1.2 billion waterfront plan that's been approved, and we're going to have someday 9 miles of bicycle path throughout the port. And right now we only have about a mile of it, unfortunately, but there's a little bit more of it coming in the next year or two. But I think the point is San Pedro and the LA waterfront should be a destination for people to come with their bicycles and enjoy the cool ocean breezes and have a good time down by the water. Also, I have another little personal story. My brother worked at American Youth Hostel, and it was in San Pedro, and a lot of people would come from Santa Monica down to San Pedro and stay in the hostel. However, it's hard to get from San Pedro to keep going south to get to Long Beach and get on down the coastline back to PCH. So I think we really need to work to make some better connections between our coastline and our waterfront, and from our waterfront over to Long Beach, so we can be more bicycle friendly for all of Southern California to enjoy our part of CD15.
Excellent. You know, in some cities, an event like this takes place on a regular basis. Some places in the world it takes place every Sunday. Some cities it happens every month. And so can you imagine, and would you be willing to commit to bringing something like this to San Pedro
Absolutely.
on a regular basis?
Absolutely. In fact, you know, we do have a couple bicycle races a year in downtown San Pedro, usually on a Sunday morning like this where we close down the streets. But we also have a lot of bicycle clubs in the South Bay, a lot of them that go around the Palos Verdes Peninsula. And I would think it would be great to have more events in San Pedro area that maybe tie into our coastal communities.
So let's get politicky for a moment, if we can.
Okay.
So you're happily married, and you've got a great son, and you love to go on bike rides, and there's just not enough time to stay at home and enjoy the family, and yet you're stepping up and you're running for city council, which is a huge commitment. What is it that motivates you to run?
Well, Stephen, I love public service, and I'm not afraid of it. I'm not afraid to roll up my sleeves and give it my all. Working in the council office the last 5 years, I know that working in politics, you got to deal with everything, from the little things to the big things, and it's in my heart. I enjoy it, and so I'm not afraid to help the people with the smallest problems that come in the council office, to work on the big issues at City Hall, like our budget. That's just it's a super challenge in terms of where we go the next few years. And you know, one of the things, hopefully we can bring some more resources to bike lanes and resources if we can straighten out this budget problem we have.
Excellent. So one last question, and it's a bit of a preamble, and then there's a question involved. The Cyclist Bill of Rights was written by a few members of the Bike Riders Collective, and it's actually a collection of existing standards, law, code, and policy. The first one is just a pretty basic standard that cyclists have the right to travel safely and free of fear.
Wait, get back on.
We had a celebrity just rode through. A celebrity. It's Tom Cruise. But as for some of the others, cyclists have the right to equal access to the streets. That's actually a federal standard now. The right to full support of educated law enforcement. Well, I can't think of anyone that says that cyclists don't get the support of law enforcement. And here we are outside the LAPD, and we've done a lot in the last couple of years working with the LAPD task force. So it's a two-way street and a partnership.
And by the way, Stephen, we have a pretty good bike team down in the harbor area, both in Port Police and LAPD.
Oh yeah, that's awesome. And we love seeing the LAPD riding by. I look over there and see a bunch of blue shirts, but it wasn't the LAPD, it was a bike club, but close. So urban planning, routine accommodations, that's a Caltrans standard, number 5 and number 6. The right to traffic signals, signage, and maintenance standards, that's a federal standard. The right to be actively engaged as a constituent group. Well, this is the city of Los Angeles, and that's the essence of community policing, that people are participating and are involved, and we've been working really hard on that. The right to full access on mass transit, and many of us took the metro to get here today, and it works when it works for everybody, regardless of how you get there. End of trip amenities. I mean, the ability to lock your bike up when you get where you need to go.
It's important.
Yeah, because otherwise you can't get off your bike. The right to be secure in your persons and property, well, that's just a basic Bill of Rights standard there. And the right to peaceably assemble, again, that's another basic Bill of Rights standard, the right to peaceably assemble. You know, and when I see the streets filled with people like this is, I think, how it should feel on the streets. But there was a time when a few folks standing around, it was one of those break it up, keep it moving. Nothing to see here, this is a street! But streets are more than just traffic. They're people that are enjoying creating community, socializing, spending money. Hey! How are you? So this is the Cyclist Bill of Rights. And the question I have for you, would you be willing to put your signature on the Cyclist Bill of Rights?
Stephen, absolutely.
Excellent.
Absolutely. Give me that plan.
All right. Well, thank you very much. for signing the Cyclist Bill of Rights. Thank you for joining us today. And especially thank you for running for City Council. It's a huge commitment. It's an important commitment. And there's a few things we can do. We can vote if we live in Council District 15. We can support you with money. I need that. And number 3, we can vote and support you with money. And number 4, we can work. Am I right? We can walk, we can talk, we can phone bank, and we can support you. So ladies and gentlemen, let's give it up for Team Teuber.
Thank you, Stephen. I'll be back next year and hope to see you guys in San Pedro. My website's GordonForCD15.com. That's Gordon, the number 4, CD15.com. And thanks for having me here. I had a great time today.
Gordon 4,
number 4,
CD15.com.
Yes.
All right, thanks very much for joining us. Thank you very much.
Sweetheart.
Thank you very much. All right. Have a great ride today. Thanks.